This is the TM Master Cup Series, here for race number 17 of 19 at the Twin Ring Motegi in Motegi, Japan. The clutch poleward goes to Tony Durbin in the number 33 car. Again! Tony Durbin has been winning several poles this season. Wouldn't be surprised if he wins a few more. There's 2 races to go. Stuart Sandville, you see, they're going 3 wide on the first lap in the first couple of turns. Take the second spot, David Krikorian in car number 9, making a good showing early on. Riding with Krikorian, as we're riding, well, right behind him actually, as he's trying to chase down Tony Durbin and take the first spot away. He doesn't succeed in doing so. In fact, it takes 3 wide in order to dislodge the 33 car from the lead. Ryan Naraki and Alexis Rainsford having a surprisingly good run at this racetrack. Tires would be the story of the week. You see people getting a little bit loose off the turn. Ryan Naraki sweeps up into the lead to lead the lap. Rainsford would be denied this time, but the next time she wasn't. Alexis Rainsford would lead a lap, securing an extra bonus point, which she needs to pull away from everyone else in the championship. Ryan Sendak, that blue car on the inside. However, all good things for Rainsford at least must come to an end, and she started drifting back right after she led that lap. You see Tyrone Stanley having a pretty strong run right in front of her. Ryan Naraki behind her. Alan Hodges even peeks into the picture. Scott Stoyler in the 26 car had a pretty good showing in qualifying and was turning it into a good showing during the race. You see that 3 of the 4 National Racing cars are in the picture, all of them very competitive. In fact, National Racing cars, the 4 of them that made it into the race, were 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Damian Snyder, car number 11, looking for the lead. Todd Wodarczyk in the 37 car would also prove to be really strong early on. Also, you see an orange car back there, that's Leonid Roderick. You can never count him out. And a white car right behind Alexis Rainsford in the inside line, that is Craig Janser, car 81, also having a good showing early on. First caution was fairly late for first yellow of the day, lap 12. 4 wide does not work. Well, also, tire failures on Julian Asova's car were believed to be the culprit, but still, 4 wide coming out of turn 4 just doesn't exactly work out too well. Nobody would retire from the race, but there would be some bruised egos. There was another incident further down the racetrack. Mike Whitmore in the 73 car and Eric Jackson are going to get together. Yellow lights coming on, everyone's pulling over to get away from debris, and Jacko just pulls over a little too much right across Mike Whitmore's front bumper, and Craig Janser piles up into it. Joel Rodriguez, a little impatient to get everyone moving. Sylvester Salvatore in that purple car you saw there at the bottom, also a little impatient. On the restart, Colin Reed in car number 31 jumped out to a lead. This is going to be Reed's, I believe, last showing in this car. Drew Eisenman should be in it for the Canadian Blue Ridge next week, and for the season finale will be George Dennis. Ryan Naraki and Reed would pit 1 lap after the restart for pit stops. However, this is when trouble started. Down the racetrack, tire problems on Mike Whitmore's car are believed to be the culprit behind this barrel roll for Joseph Howard and Joel Rodriguez. One of the scariest incidents we've ever seen here at the Twin Ring Motegi. However, fortunately, everyone was alright. You see an incident at the bottom of the screen, I'll talk about that later. But a tire failure believed on Mike Whitmore's car pushes him into the side of Howard and into Rodriguez, carries all 3 cars into the inside wall. However, this is the other incident. Dan Klesel makes an apparent suicide plunge into the pit wall and takes out Matt Taylor's car. It's believed that Klesel realized he was supposed to pit and then decided to come in a little too late. The irony is that Dan Klesel has been rumored to take over the 44 car from Matt Taylor because Matt Taylor is going to Arla for a year. I don't think those negotiations are going to continue. On board Stephanie McGlynn, and whoa! Dan Klesel will probably owe Stephanie McGlynn a new pair of pants after this incident. McGlynn just came very close to getting into another wreck. She's gotten into more than enough this year. Here's Joel Rodriguez's car. During the flip, I really want to know how that camera survived all those barrel rolls, and I applaud the people that built them. On the restart, Alexis Rainsford was all the way back in 35th position. The reason I'm focusing on her is she is the points leader and has a fairly big lead. The 60 car in green is Woody Watts replacing Leon Kenniston, but this is the story of the day. Jeb Klinger is 74 years old and making his TM Master Cup Series debut, something he wanted to do 30 years ago. Klinger was not really showing much speed early on in the event. However, another debutante driver, Sylvester Salvatore, was showing some considerable speed. And here's another debut driver, Todd Stanton. Todd Stanton is an American short track driver, and he was putting on quite a show for the fans, even though most of them had no clue who he was. he was still putting a show on for the fans and for his fellow drivers. Mechanical problems for Alexis Rainsford's car would hold her in the pit lane for an extra 2 laps, putting the 27 car 2 laps down in 35th position by lap 30. Dale Roswell, the other senior citizen in the race, was faring much better than Jeb Klinger. Roswell leading at one point. Ross Peterson, the 47 car, was caught speeding in pit road. He was a lap down. Todd Stanton fighting for Dale Roswell for the lead. 2 Andrew Craig cars fighting for the lead. That's not something we've seen in recent history in the TM Master Cup Series. The Andrew Craig cars are usually back markers. Anthony Evans' number 10 car was also having a very strong run. Evans not having the same kind of season he had last year when he won at Talladega, but he was still having a very respectable run in this 10 car. Evans was set fastest lap of the race this time by. Enzo Medina in car number 56 is also another car that we normally don't even see on the grid because he fails to qualify for most of the races. However, when he does make the field, he's usually spectacular, and today was nothing out of the ordinary for Medina. Caution 3 on lap 49, fairly late in the race. Scott Stoidler in car number 26, Kurt Walker in car number 24, and Tyrone Stanley in car number 23 are all going to have a little bit of a tussle. Walker appears to have a tire failure, gets into Stoidler, and runs into his teammate Stanley. Stoidler had a pretty good run going, goes for a little spin, but he appeared to be okay. Everyone went on. Tires again were the story of the day, and tire wear was abysmal. Here it is, coming up, another look at the view, another look at the wreck. Walker appears to be losing control of the car or something, and he gets into the 26 car coming down the straightaway. Pretty bizarre wrecks considering most of them are happening in the straightaways, and there really hasn't been too many wrecks happening in the corners. Very odd for a Master Cup Series race. Jeb Klinger almost runs into Scott Stoidler. Needless to say, Stoidler in the 26 car, showing off a decal on the hood of that car to commemorate his favorite baseball team. We're very respectable so far, and we're continuing to do so. Tony Durbin is the car this camera is centered on, and he's the leader of the race. That's because every single car in front of him is a lap down or more. Danny Savin behind him is in second. And of course, a lot of lap cars could possibly create some problems here. Danny Savin having a look on the inside, but here comes, I think that's Todd Wodarchik's 37 car on the inside of the 91. However, as they say in racing, cautions breed cautions. Coming off of turn 4, there's a little bit of a tussle between Eric Jackson and Alan Hodges, which would, again, appear to be tire failure. However, Hodges drifts up, collects Craig Yonser, and poor Jeb Klinger. Neither one of them has been looking too good since the early part of the race. 35 car just seems to veer over into the 13, as the 13 had a pretty good run going on him. It's one of those unfortunate racing deals, and especially for Jeb Klinger. Waited so long to make his first Master Cup start, and then gets collected in someone else's garbage. It would be kind of typical considering Jeb Klinger's racing career. Here's another look at it from Jackson's point of view, looking back. He pulls over to the left almost to get out of the way, but doesn't realize the 13 car is there in time. Hard to put fault in anybody for that. However, this would be great for Tony Durbin because it got rid of all the lap cars. However, there were still a few of them in Danny Savin's way. Dale Roswell, Anthony Evans, and Johnny Ada all went a lap down. Under a previous yellow flag. Roswell's led laps before. Evans had a very strong car and was looking very strong, however, 1 lap down. Caution 5 on lap 66. This wreck sums up Brian Sendak's entire season. Gets turned around by his teammate, Lauren Roth, and then in a fit of rage, he pulls up a little bit too high and collects Palmer Styles in the 34 car. This would earn him a little trip to the hauler about watching his mirrors. Looks like Sendak may have bumped the 6 car, but still looked like Todd Wodarchik bumped into his teammate, spun him out. And then a little clip from Palmer Styles there. Both drivers were called to the hauler, however, it didn't look like there were going to be any penalties assessed from the tone of the officials, that is. Tony Durbin, again, leading on the restart. So far, a very dominant performance by Durbin. However, you see a lot of scrapping down going all the way through the pack. You see some cars going 3 wide with 6 laps to go. There'd be another yellow. This would be the most bizarre one of the day, or, well, all of them have been pretty bizarre, but this one, Leonid Roderick actually causes. A tire goes on the 4 car. He drifts up into Alexis Rainsford, Dale Roswell, Todd Stanton, Damian Snyder, Todd Wodarchik, Colin Reed, all collected in this mishap. And Roderick drives away. However, he wouldn't be too happy with what just happened. More frustrated than angry. They see Colin Reed's car right there. 4 car just seems to drift over to the right, and that has led a lot of people to say that it was tire wear. Leonid Roderick, not known for causing wrecks like this. This would create a 2-lap shootout. The lap car of Ross Peterson was doing a great job for Tony Durbin in blocking. However, Peterson decided he would make things interesting, challenge Durbin for the lead. In the meantime, Ryan Naraki would go side-by-side with Danny Savin in the 91 car, take away second place. Preventing Savin from making a run at Tony Durbin for the finish. Ross Peterson was running out there basically just for his own personal glory at this point. Peterson more or less in the way, but Ryan Naraki and Tony Durbin would have a scrap. Naraki has a great run coming into turn number 3, a whale of a run, but coming off the turn, it's not enough, and Tony Durbin will take the win for the second time this season and celebrate with victory burnouts, which, considering the tire wear, weren't necessarily difficult to do. Ryan Naraki finishes runner-up to his teammate Tony Durbin, Danny Savin 3rd, Gary Edwards 4th, Scott Stoidler wrecks the car, brings it home 5th, David Krikorian in 6th, Sam Morrell in 7th, Woody Watts takes over the car from Leon Keniston, and this run could very well have saved his TM Master Cup Series career. Stuart Sandoval in 9th, no surprise to see him run well in the flat ovals. He was awesome at the Trenton track in the GRL a couple of years ago. And then Tom Levin, the insane Irishman, rounds out the top 10. And here's the top 10 in points. Alexis Rainsford still heads the standings, but 28 over Tony Durbin, the defending Master Cup Series champion. Leonid Roderick, the 3-time champion, 3rd place in the standings, 29 points behind on the leader. Ryan Naraki in 4th. Lewis Kingston, probably the most improved driver of the year, if not Ryan Naraki, it's Lewis Kingston, or Johnny Ada perhaps in 6th, 65 points back. Alan Hodges is in 7th. Todd Wodarczyk and Mike Whitmore are still scrapping over Rookie of the Year, although you can't count out Gary Edwards for that award either. Those two drivers. And 11th place Kurt Walker, who was 135 points back in the leader, have been fighting for Rookie of the Year all season, and they are not really a surprise, but they are the front runners for that award. Sam Morrell is in 16th, 136 back on the leader. Very much improved team this season. Ross Peterson in 13th. Juliana Sova drops to 14th. Damian Snyder to 15th. Lauren Roth up a spot to 16th, the Cariala winner. Palmer Stiles, who has 2 wins this year on short tracks, is all the way down to 17th. Unfortunately for Palmer, we aren't running any more short tracks this year. Dale Roswell is in 18th. Anthony Evans in 19th. Joel Rodriguez in 20th. As of right now, every single car on this list right here, 11 through 20, and Gary Edwards is out of contention for the TM Master Cup Series Drivers title. However, because of some questionable remarks about Michelin by Alexis Rainsford following the race, some of these cars could get bumped right back into the championship hunt. That's all for this week in the TM Master Cup Series. I'll see you next time.